let's just jump right into this. Andrew Tate.
Long time.
I know, it's been a very long time. You seem to be doing pretty well given the circumstances.
I know the truth in my heart, and I know that what I say is the truth, and I understand very well the internet and how it works. And I also think I'm perspicacious enough to understand there's certainly a degree of weaponized virtue and perhaps a degree of jealousy and perhaps a few other things that are involved in all of these attacks. I don't believe that people who sit and attack somebody for their past, especially something from so long ago, are genuinely virtuous. I don't think it's about virtue. I think it's about, well, I can get some clicks this way, or I can get some views that way, or he did the biggest interview ever, or whatever it is. There's certainly some other motivations. We're now in a situation where if the legal system's completely fair, then the case is over. So what they're trying to do is they're going to conflate with old videos of mine, and they're going to try and muddy the waters and gaslight. And I will say that I am unhappy those videos exist, and I will say I wish I never made them, but I won't say that I'm sorry, because at the time I did the best I knew how to do.
And I think that's important for the young kids that are following you, especially the young men, to know. Like I say, I always hope that I talk about the mistakes that I made, and I probably wouldn't even categorize them as mistakes. It's just things that I did. And if I could go back, of course I wouldn't do it. Hindsight's 2020, but it's important for them to hear that. I'm not proud of that, obviously. I'm not proud of it.
And that's why I never push them to the world, and that's why I never propagate them in any way. Unfortunately, there's a weaponized attack against me where they still exist. And that's why I do so good to talk against them. I think that if you want to tell kids not to do drugs, you usually have a reformed drug addict to stand up and say, don't do drugs. I was a drug addict. It was a mistake. And I think that gives you a degree of credibility. So now we're living here. I'm sitting here as a person who's accused of a crime. The victims are on my side. There's no one against me but the state. I've done nothing wrong. There's these Twitter internet detectives who know who funds them, trying their very best to prove me guilty for no reason by taking old videos and conflating the issue and trying to make it complicated when it doesn't need to be. And I just sit here and think—
they are complicating the issue. I very much agree with you on that. I think that the goal of digging up these old videos was to say, well, that this somehow legitimizes the case against him in Romania. Yeah. And that's just not true, right? You can say— you even said it, you're not proud of these videos. You can say, I think Andrew Tate is immoral. I think the things that he said here are not principled. They're trying to say that because of things that you said 10 years ago, you shouldn't have a platform to young men today. It's just too much conflation.
I made pro-atheist videos back then, and I'm very embarrassed of those.
Right.
I'm extremely embarrassed of the videos. I would sit and say, God is not real. In fact, I'm more embarrassed of those videos than any other video. Wow. And I would sit there, and now I'm devout to my religion. So I would sit there and try and talk about how God wasn't real, and I thought I was smart. And now I watch it and think I was an idiot. And I like to think of myself as a pretty wise person. I wouldn't have a platform if I wasn't wise. And I'm 36 years old. But at 25, I was a dummy. I don't feel like the way I spoke about women or the way I spoke about romantic relationships is my current view on romantic relationships. I think I've certainly matured. I was a young, brash, arrogant guy. This is what happens when you have a young kickboxer who's beating everyone up, who's making a bunch of money from the streets. I was a young, brash, arrogant guy, and I spoke in a way I perhaps shouldn't have spoke. And I'm sure if Jay-Z makes a song today, he won't speak about women and crack and drugs the way he used to speak about women and crack and drugs. It's just the reality of life. And you have to grow, and you have to take the embarrassment which comes from growing. So I will certainly sit here and make sure— I think the whole world understands that that's not my message. That's not what I'm teaching young boys today. The young boys who are following me today have no interest in these videos and don't watch these videos unless they're pushed by haters. And I think that overall I'm a net positive for the world. I think that men being so disenfranchised is— I want to say something quickly about the British school system. The English school system has attacked me, and now they're trying to they've spent billions of dollars trying to remove me from schools because young boys were running around saying, what color is your Bugatti, and repeating my sayings. I don't think I can really truly be held responsible for the fact that young boys repeat a saying, especially one that's not particularly aggressive. I think that shows that the young boys are looking for a hero and someone to look up to, and I feel like I'm filling a gap. And that's why I understand it's so important I say very good things and teach very good things. And I don't think I would have learned so much good if I hadn't been involved to a degree with the dark and the bad. I don't think there is light without dark. A lot of my lessons and a lot of the messages I give to the world come from the fact that I grew up in one of the worst areas of the Western world, surrounded by drug dealers, surrounded by real pimps doing real bad things, surrounded by broken homes. I learned all these lessons. And if I had never had those experiences and never grew up in that scenario, how could I be a person who's now teaching young men, disenfranchised young men, the realities of the world? And I think the best defense for all of these things, personally, I don't think that anybody should take my word for it. I think the best defense for all of these things are the voices of the woman directly involved.
Right.
We say, believe all women. right? That's what we say, isn't it? Okay, well, you don't have to listen to a word I say or believe a word I say. If you think I've done something wrong to a woman and the woman stands up and goes, no, I love him, that's garbage, then that should be the end of the issue, I believe. And I do think that one of the reasons why they dislike me so much is because, yeah, I certainly live a teenage boy's dream. But if you want to inspire the next generation, how else are you going to do it, right? You have to have the fancy car and the big yacht and all these things. And by inspiring these men to stand up and think for themselves and resist the slave mind, it's doing genuine damage to their slave agenda. Genuine damage to their slave agenda. And I think that that's why I especially ended up targeted. I truly believe that's what's happening.
I think there is an element of it that it's you've captivated young men, and that is a very important demographic in order to sustain an enslaved population. Is you need to poison men, and I think
100%.
that is true.
Let's look at the Loverboy method. We have a man here who has spoken to a woman in a very nice, polite, kind way, has never even had a BDSM relationship with her, hasn't hurt her, hasn't hit her, only spoke to her nicely. She is saying he is nice. She is saying he did nothing. Okay, she's brainwashed and he used Loverboy. You can't even be nice. You can't even be, if the government want to put you in jail for sexual crime, you can be a man with a woman, speak to her with absolute respect. She can love you with all her heart and say he has never hurt me, and you are still a criminal.
Right. Right.
Think of the mind bending. It's crazy. As a man, you're not safe. You're not safe. If they want to get you, they're going to get you, and they're going to use this avenue because this is the most heinous possible crime you can be accused of. The process itself is the punishment. Let's look at what's happened to me. All those months of investigation. During all those months of investigation, there are pages and pages of files. Everything I did, everywhere I went, they were looking for me to break a law. I don't break laws. If I had even sped in a car, if I had littered, if I had done anything, it would all be in the case file. So they're spying on my entire life trying to find a crime. They can't find one. Then they go through my entire personal life, which is now all over the internet, leak it all over the internet. So you go through the embarrassment. Then they seize all your money. $15 million have taken of my money. Then I went to jail for 3 months. Now I'm on house arrest. By the time I'm found innocent, I've been punished. The process is the punishment. The process is the embarrassment. The process is teaching you a lesson. So it's not even about innocent and guilty. I don't think most people at home understand that if they want to hurt you, if you get to a level of influence where powerful people go, we have to damage this guy's name, we're going to accuse him of a sexual crime. It doesn't matter if you can prove yourself innocent 3 years from the point they accuse you, because you've already been wrecked. That's the entire goal of it, right? I do believe, however, that Allah is the best of planners. And I am, in many ways, I wouldn't say happy, but I feel like this whole criminal investigation is going to be a fantastic end to all of this once I'm found innocent.
Right.
I believe. And I do believe I'll be found innocent. I've seen all of the case against me, and there is no case. And it's very difficult to put somebody in jail when there's nobody saying he did anything wrong.
Thank you so much for taking all of this time. Such a good conversation.
Thank you.